Hey guys, and welcome to a battle today featuring Darth Pendragon in charge of the forces of the High Elves up against Captellus and the legions of the Empire. This was from the DBD clan civil war that's been going on behind the scenes, which I believe was won in the end by Poison Ducky, so very well done to him. But here we're going to be seeing a nice cool game, and let's hop in here and check out the build. So for the forces of the High Elves, we have 4 archers in the front line, just the cheap and cheerful ones. These basic guys don't even have their light armor, but you don't really need the light armor, to be honest. They have decent range, are very effective at taking down handgunners, and they trade very well against artillery as well. They need to be a little bit careful from mortar fire, which can really punish them, but apart from that, they should be all good. It looks like for the main line, we have rangers, which is a real nice breath of fresh air rather than just seeing spams of silver and guard. We're getting to see some of these glorious rangers in action, and they can certainly do the business up against the Empire state troops. They're tearing through them very quickly with their anti-infantry dual-wielding swords. So we have a nice secondary line of those guys. We have a couple of units of silver helms, it seems, 2 of those bad boys, as well as some Illyrian Reavers out on either flank, which is going to be really nice for that, getting that backline harassing, and also just trying to pin in outriders and those pesky skirmish cavalry. In the back lines, we do have some spearmen as well, 1 unit on either flank, as well as 1 unit of the Silvern Guard as a deep reserve here, so they can react whichever way, you know, the kind of gaps start to form in the battle line. These guys can plop in there and shut down the enemy rather effectively. Now here's a really nice hero core here. So we do have a noble on his mighty steed, which is really useful as Teclis does need a bodyguard. Now Teclis is incredibly tanky with his Potion of Troy ability, which does give him 44% damage resistance as well as restoring 432 health. It does, however, mean he can't use any abilities for 30 seconds. Now speaking of his abilities, here is bringing the Sword of Teclis, Scroll of Hoeth, as well as Regrowth, Flock of Doom, Enfeeble and Foe, and Net of Amantok. So quite a few spells there, but he certainly has the Winds of Magic to do it. And there's going to be another mage as well, Plague of Rust, coming in with the Mage of Metal. So what we're going to be seeing here, I'm 99% sure, is a upgraded Plague of Rust does give minus 60 armor for a considerable amount of time. Probably see it drop down on Boris or someone, and the archers, despite their lack of AP, with that minus 60 armor, can trade very effectively up against these tough, more elite Empire troops. Now, for the forces of the Empire, we have some Empire Knights on either flank, it looks like, so 1 on each. One that is going to be supported by a Warrior Priest coming in with the, let's check his ability names just so I can ensure I get them correct, but I believe it's called like the Hammer of Sigma. Yeah, so we have Hammer of Sigma and Soulfire, so he's certainly been buffing up these Empire Knights, allowing them to trade very effectively up against these high elf forces. In the skies, we do have Boris Todbringer as well, flowing gloriously on top of his mighty steed here. He is going to be bringing the standard Deadly Onslaught, Foe Seeker, the Middenland Runefang, going to be restoring his hit points, which is always good, as well as the White Cloak of Ulrich. Now, this is a pretty damn cool formation coming from the force of the Empire, so triple spearmen in the front lines, backed up by 3 company militia. Now, these bad boys can go toe-to-toe with their cutlasses in combat, but they have pistols, and they're pretty damn accurate of them, so they can certainly do some nice firepower, and they're going to be protecting a unit of handgunners. Looks like we have some spearmen defending the flanks, as well as some Empire Knights kept in reserve, as well as a heavy artillery core here. So we do have double great cannons, one of them being the Hammer of the Witches, Regiment Renowned, and some mortars in the centre pocket. Now, I would normally like these to be a little bit more spread out, but at the same time, that would force the Empire forces to go rather wide, and it looks like they're actually trying a bit of a different tactic here, which should be good fun to see how it does indeed work. The Celestial Wizard coming in with Wind Blast and Harmonic Convergence. Harmonic Convergence is certainly going to make Boris Todbringer an absolutely beast in melee, if he wants to. So early mortar fighters coming in. Looks like the archers are the targets here. So it looks like, yeah, mortars have already got some kills already, as well as the great cannons, and mortars do fantastic damage up against archer lines. Archers, very low armour and pretty tightly packed formations. However, the mortars aren't the most accurate fellows. Looks like the archers have pushed forward. They are only shooting into spearmen though, which is not really what we want to be doing. We want to be at least get on top of these 3 company militia or handgunners, but realistically we want to get back on top of these artillery pieces. But really nice play by Captellus and the Empire here. Going to be pushing forward his main battle line to try and keep it as far away from this artillery core as possible. However, he's leaving a lot of units back here to defend, and they're obviously going to get a little bit wasted just kind of sitting around on guard duty. But at the same time, if you can protect double great cannon and mortar the entire game, you're going to be laughing if those can remain firing. So on the front line, 3 company militia have been focus fired down by some really nice archer play, and the Rangers are going to tear apart these spearmen, who are bronze chevrons, so perhaps they'll be able to hold for a limited amount of time. Boris Todbringer coming in and smashing the crap out of that terrified noble who's running for the hills. Get absolutely hammered to death there. There was some help as well over fire by the 3 company militia. Looks like a fat regrowth is going to be going down on him. We should be able to save him. And up in the skies, the classic combo of Net of Amantop and an upgraded Plague of Rust, minus 60 armor, has brought him down to 25. And he is getting destroyed by this archer line. His health is getting absolutely wrecked. Glorious Wind Blast coming down the flank on top of these Rangers, helping these Spearmen trade very effectively. But it looks like the wider health line has managed to wrap around and pop on top of these handgunners and Free Company Militia. Boris is going to be running for the hills here. Of course, he can heal up if he survives this. We have more Spearmen trying to push in, but they're going to go toe-to-toe with some of the Empire boys, and it's going to be a bit of a damp noodle contest, to be honest. Nothing's really going to go either way. It looks like Silver Helms did get beaten up on the flank by a combination of the Empire Knights as well as the Warrior Priests, also forcing back some Illyrian Reavers, and the Empire Cav can now start to fall into the centre pocket to try and assist as they are getting slightly overrun. Some Empire Knights are in the back line, but Enfeeble Info has been popped to them to keep them at bay and away from the archers, as the Noble is going to come in and intercept here. And poor Boris is getting absolutely destroyed by this archer line, which has done a really good job so far. Now, the Rangers doing a fantastic job chewing through the main meat of this Empire force. However, Empire Knights and the Warrior Priests coming in to assist these Spearmen, who are dragging down some Silver Helms rather effectively, are going to be a nightmare for the Rangers. They do not want to deal with cavalry at all. They will get run down pretty damn bad. But it looks like they're going to be able to hop on top of some handgunners here who are absolutely legging it. And yeah, mortars and cannon crew start to get a little bit overrun here, unfortunately, as the Rangers do start to push through. A nice soul fire coming down here, destroying some Spearmen and Rangers overall. And that consistent mortar fire is doing pretty good damage to this archer line, but it's still relatively intact. In the back line, a combination of the Noble and Illyrian Reavers have pinned in these Empire Knights. And with the help of the Noble, they should trade very effectively there. So it looks like the Mighty Boris has had to pop into the back line to help protect all these cannon and mortar crews, and he's doing a fantastic job terror-routing all of these poor Rangers. However, he has once again been netted, and a lovely Plague of Rust combo. Archers are going to absolutely decimate poor Boris here, down to 3 health, and down the Mighty Warlord does go. So really fantastic play, good synergy between the two mages, Teclis of his nets, and the Mage of Metal. The Mage of Metal, one of my favourite new additions to the High Elves. I think is incredibly powerful. I quite like an Archmage on a dragon myself. So Teclis are pushing through onto the handgunners, going to be shutting those guys down. Rangers are here as well, so with the loss of their lord, it certainly looks like the High Elves are in the ascendancy here. However, a lot of the troops are rather beat up as well. Archers starting to run a little bit dry on ammunition. There's still a very healthy Warrior Priest here, bouncing into the back of the Spearmen, trying to assist his own Spearmen in the combat. So over here, Empire Knights doing a pretty decent job, tearing down Illyrian Reavers as expected. They just don't really have the AP to break through the thick armour of the Empire Knights. However, archers are starting to change targets to these guys as well, and with Plague of Rust, they should be pretty damn fine. Another Wind Blast has been used here, it looks like to save the Celestial Wizard, who was pinned in by Rangers and Teclis. And Teclis is getting a little danger close here. Free Company Militia can certainly do a ton of damage output in a brief period of time. Rangers as well getting caught up a little bit, and they will get finished off most likely. They're trying to desperately get back on top of the Hammer of Witches. Now, it looks like one of the cannon crew has been deleted here, most likely by archer fire. They're going to be coming back. Oh, it looks like they were pulled off just to keep them a little bit protected. Mortar up to 98 kills, and the Hammer of Witches up to 70. Very impressive stuff so far. Free Company Militia being used just behind them to finish off all these not broken, but kind of very beaten up units here. Should be able to break them off and keep that mortar nice and safe. Looks like Warrior Priest still going to town on these Spearmen. Yes, he's on a horse, so they will get that bonus versus large. But he's a mighty warrior and son of Sigma indeed. Smiting these Spearmen with his mighty hammer. Should be able to break them off. And he could go toe-to-toe with Teclis as well. The Celestial Wizard legging it from Teclis. As, you know, Teclis is a little bit feeble, but he is an elf at least, who do fight better than men. So a nice little net of Amantok down on the Celestial Wizard. And he's going to get a little bit of a hammer in here, unfortunately. Nice little Wizard duel will be going off. He missed like the madness of the overall battle. But yes, Celestial Wizard does pop Harmonic Convergence, giving that plus 24 to his melee attack and melee defense. Going to be keeping him fighting here, and Teclis has to be a little bit careful, as the glorious Warrior Priest does disengage from those Spearmen and thunders towards Teclis. His mighty hammer raised, and he smites Teclis in the back of the dome there. Teclis now going to have to leg it after taking a huge wallop in there. So really nice play by Captellus and the Empire trying to get back into this game a bit, as it does look like they are on the back ropes. But the High Elf forces are really starting to break. Their initial push has been pushed back, and is faltering pretty heavily. However, the archers have managed to push forward, and even with their limited ammunition, they just need to target down the mortar crew, then the cannon crew. They are very effective at destroying these guys as quickly as possible. But it looks like they are raining some shots on the Empire Knights, which I think is a little bit of a mistake. Looks like some Illyrian Reavers are coming back, and in the back lines, the Empire Knights are slowly getting caught up. It looks like the Warrior Priest is in here, as well as the Celestial Wizard, who's getting beaten down by this Noble, who could have been out of the game very early if it wasn't for a very clutch regrowth. So Noble certainly coming back into the late game and proving why he is such a beast. Celestial Wizard has been forced off here, and Warrior Priest is also going to have to run for the hills. So it's really going to come down to, can the Empire forces protect their artillery pieces? But the mortar's gone, one of the great cannons is gone as well. Simply the Hammer of Witches is firing in, but the archers are almost all out of ammunition. There's still some spearmen left, but I don't think there's any way of this Noble being so healthy that the Empire can come back into this. Even if the archers run out of ammunition, there's some incredibly healthy Silveren Guard here, so certainly some mortar fire on them, and the Warrior Priest is slowly being surrounded. He's desperately trying to rally the Celestial Wizard, who is falling back. But the Noble and Teclis should be able to hunt this guy down, especially if he gets netted. He's going to be in really deep trouble. Now, the cannon's best bet is probably to shoot at the Noble and start picking off the Noble, the Mage, and Teclis if possible. Looks like Free Company Militia are trying to run to the aid of that Warrior Priest. Cannon is also lining up its shots as well, so it's going to be quite a tough target to hit. These are the greatest Empire engineers in all the land, or at least this Warrior Priest hopes, as he does trot away here as fast as possible. Managed to outspeed the Noble, despite the fact they are both the exact same speed stats, I believe. Yeah, Noble does take a cannonball to the face, 2 cannonballs to the face, in fact, and 3 cannonballs to the face. Jesus! That Noble just went from nearly full health down to 700 straight away, and he's going to be running for the hills here, as he takes 1 or 2 more shots as well from the Free Company Militia, who did manage to rally out to this Warrior Priest. So perhaps there is hope yet. If the Hammer of Witches can stay active, finish off that Noble would be really fantastic, and then either snipe out Teclis or take out the Silveren Guard. It looks like, yeah, the Noble has completely shattered. In fact, he goes down to a cannonball to the rear. What a glorious sight for the forces of Sigma. I'm sure Teclis is going to be trying to come in for revenge, but this is the big problem realistically. Yes, the archers are going to be a pretty much, damp lettuce in combat, not do too much. War Priest can take them down very easily. He can also beat the Mage of Metal and Teclis in combat, but this very healthy 76 Silveren Guard is going to be almost impossible to shut down, especially with the Hammer of Witches just about to be overrun here. Looks like he's going to be dropping his bombardment a little bit too early. He needed the Silveren Guard to have stopped moving to make that very effective, so he doesn't really catch any there, unfortunately. Hammer of Witches is going to get one last shot in. It is point-blank range into the Silveren Guard, doing quite a decent amount of damage. You can see a lot of dead bodies there. War of Priest as well will be okay here, but again, the Silveren Guard, they're much more elite than Spearmen, and they will be able to tear him down off his mighty steed, especially if the Mage of Metal can come in here with any Plague or Rust or anything, but it looks like that is most likely going to be game. Free Company Militia have managed to defeat some archers, and it looks like Homework Convergence has been popped in these guys, so they'll be able to do okay up against Teclis. Looks like they are managing to pull him down, but a Potion of Troy going to be doing that really lovely restore, as well as damage defense, makes him so goddamn tanky. Looks like it was the last of the Celestial Wizard's involvement in the battle. Is he now going to be running for the hills? Yeah, the Warrior Priest is broken as well, and I think that is going to be a very close and Pyrrhic victory to the forces of the High Elves. We'll just speed through here. So it looks like they are simply going to chase down the Hammer of Witches crew. Looks like Spearmen as well are going to be taking on the Silveren Guard, and yeah, all the forces, army losses kicking in, and a Pyrrhic victory for the High Elves. What a game! So massive shout out to both of these guys, Darth Pendragon and Cap Tellus, for sending this replay in. It was super good fun, incredibly close. It's always good to see the Empire and High Elf matchup. I think it's incredibly well balanced. And as you can see here, it really went down to the wire there. So I think the key moments was the net and metal combination to help bring down Boris. It really did wonders and allowed these archers, just through sheer volume of fire, he's a rather large target himself, so when netted it's almost impossible to miss him. Minus 60 armor is so powerful, and I think the Mage of Metal caster has made the High Elves far more powerful than probably most of the new units and so forth, even though they've got a lot of cool stuff. Now, the Rangers, really interesting to see these guys use in the front line. I often see people use 1 or 2, unless they're up against something like Tomb Kings, where you really want to tear through that front line quickly, where you'll see a lot of them like this. But in this matchup, I can certainly see their value. They easily cut through all the Spearmen in a quick fashion as well, and allow them to pressure that back line in the early stages of the battle. Now, they do have to worry about all-out cavalry. And there was some really nice cavalry play combination as well from the Empire with that warrior priest. Certainly allowed them to pay their dividends and get some pretty damn good kills. Really interesting formation as well, quite tight and narrow, but pushing half of it forward to delay the engagement on the cannons, allow these guys to get some crazy value, 140, 113 and 30 kills. So awesome game all round. Hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, please do consider subscribing to the channel for more Total War Warhammer content, as well as giving the video a big old thumbs up. If you want to see your replays on the channel, I do have a link to my Discord in the description just down below, as well as a link to my Patreon if you want to support in any way. Anyway guys, until next time, peace, and as always, stay awesome.